The benefits of participating in a clinical trial include the fact that patients may benefit from the treatment or strategy that is being investigated. That's one very important potential advantage of participating in a clinical trial. In addition, many people who participate will say that they would like to have the opportunity to benefit other people, both in the short and longer term, because by participating in a clinical trial, people are helping to establish whether or not new ways of managing a particular condition are safe and effective. The potential disadvantages of participating in a clinical trial should be considered by people who are thinking of doing so. Ultimately, one doesn't know whether the treatment or intervention is going to be effective or not. In addition, although a person will be monitored very closely, there are potential side effects which might be experienced with a new therapy. In addition, there may well be a requirement for extra visits in order to carry out blood test monitoring or to undergo additional scans as part of the trial protocol. These are some of the disadvantages of participating. I would stress though that people are very closely monitored during a trial, and many people will report that this is an advantage for them, that they appreciate being very closely monitored whilst on a clinical trial and having regular contact with the clinical trials team. Even if someone decides not ultimately to proceed with the clinical trial, by learning about the intervention involved, by reading through the information sheet that accompanies the trial, people will often report that they tend to learn much more about their condition. It's also often a starting point for people to have certain discussions, either with a trial practitioner, a lymphoma doctor, or a lymphoma clinical nurse specialist.
When patients have questions about taking part in a clinical trial, often most of the technical and logistical questions can be answered best by the clinical trial team who is running the study. But it's also useful for patients to speak to family and friends to get their ideas about things, and also to their GP, who will have an understanding of their general health and who probably will have known them for a much longer period of time. If you would like to find out whether you can take part in a clinical trial, the easiest way to ask or to find out is to ask your medical team. You can also look on the internet. There are many websites. One which is maybe a little bit challenging to navigate is clinicaltrials.com. An easier place to look would be Lymphoma Trials link, which will specialise in lymphoma trials and will show what trials are currently open in different parts of the country.